Right, so I've got a really large cockerel from a church in London. As you can see, he's really quite big. His copper, he's got lots of layers of paint on, and there's a little tiny bit of gold leaf left. So what I'm going to have to do is, he is heavy, is strip the paint off, then basically gild it. So I'm going to show you that process. There's some repairs to do. I think the pole that's obviously come up has obviously damaged this bit here. There's also a few pot marks where somebody's shot it with an air rifle. But apart from that, it's in fairly good condition. Yeah, so the first thing to do is get the bird poo off. He was literally on the church in London yesterday. He was taken down yesterday morning and driven up here to Staffordshire, so pretty fresh. So I'll strip all that off, and hopefully we should be left with a really nice copper surface to work with. My paint stripper. Let's see how easy or hard this is going to be. Sometimes it bubbles up really quickly, and other times you keep having to do layer after layer. Sort of depends what the paint is, really. That spider's running. So I like to get a bit on, just a normal big paintbrush. Then old toothbrushes are really quite useful. Oh, actually it's going to come off quite easily, it looks like. You just scrub. Wow. Well, I've done one side. It's come up quite well. There's some really lovely detail in this. All these feathers along this tail here all have lines in, and it's really nice. The craftsmanship of this is really nice. I like working on things like this when these sort of details here aren't going to be seen up on the top of a church, but you know, the person who made it decided to put every little line in these feathers. No one will see it except me. I appreciate it. Anyway, let me show you. So definitely copper. You can see there's a really crude repair here. I think I'm going to have to take that off. I think there's going to be a really big hole behind there. But I can't leave that. That's quite bad. So now I'm just going to flip it over and do the other side. Right, same again. stripper's got most of the paint off, so now I'm going to use some wire wool and some methylated spirits. That neutralises the paint stripper and gets any last bits of paint off. Right, that's the other side done, sort of. I've just got to tidy up round here where it's all open. I've got a bit of paint stripper in there, so I've got to get that out. And I've just got to do the arrow. But he's coming up really well. This side has even more detail than the other because these feathers now have got tiny, tiny little lines. I can just see them. So, you know, I can just see them and I'm this far away. You know, if this is on the top of a church, who's going to see that? But it's just amazing. It's really nice. So, there we go. That side's done. So I'm just going to tidy up this bottom bit now. Right, that's all the paint off. What I'm going to do is have a go at this repair. I think it's car body filler. I'm just going to try and pick some off. It's got some really rough edges, it's not very nice. I suspect there's a really big hole under there, so I don't really want to do it, but I'll see if I can feather off the edges first. Right, I've got all that car body filler off. Luckily there's a copper patch on the top, but it's been, I was going to say riveted, but it's not, it's screws, and they're quite proud, and I think that's why a great big bit of car body filler was put on the top to try and disguise all these screws all the way around. I'm going to leave the patch there because it's obviously over the top of a big hole. I think I can do a better job of trying to disguise these screws, so I'll try and blend that in, but I'm going to do that tomorrow because it's quite late. But anyway, I'm really pleased. I think he looks good. It's really nice. That side is really nice. Look forward to working on him. Right, so I'm going to be sorting out this patch. I'm going to repair it with some Milliput. I was thinking I might use car body filler, but it didn't seem to hold up well because originally that was car body filler. So I think Milliput will hold up better to heat and weather. I mean, it's going to be painted over and gilded, but hopefully this will be better. Right, there you go, mix it till there's no stripes. I'm using my favourite modelling tool and a little bit of water. So first of all I'm just going to try and get rid of this edge. Milliput smooths out much easier with some water. I'm just trying to really feather that edge out so I can barely feel it. I'll also sand this once it's dry. It'll take about, well, probably 12 hours. Right, I had a look on the other side. The other side has two more little feathers, one that ends about here and one that ends about here. You can just see the start of this feather here, so you can see it'll run sort of there. So what I think I'll do is, this is quite a big step, if I make, it's not really the right shape, is it? Some of these screw heads can be hidden if I make a leaf feather shape. Right, okay, that's what I took from the other side. So you can see there's one there and one right at the top, so it's about there, isn't it? And it's coming. Not going to be able to do that. Okay, let me rethink that then. Right, okay, let's feather that off. Something like that. Right, so that's the basic sort of 3 feathers. I'm just going to try and get rid of these . Right, I've tried to smooth out all these edges here to try and get rid of these lumps. I'll give it a sand tomorrow when that's dry, but I think that is much better than that patch. So, quite pleased with that. That'll do. I'll leave that to dry and finish it off tomorrow. Right, so that's dry. I'm just going to give it a quick sand, see if I can really feather out these edges properly. Right, so I've sanded this back a little bit. I've created this really elegant system for holding him up. I need him up and to be able to turn while I'm painting him and then gilding him. What I'm going to do is going to paint some yellow metal paint all over this, everywhere that I'm going to gild. That will just help sort of with the depth of the gilding. The gold is so thin, it's slightly transparent, so painting yellow underneath, sometimes maybe you'd paint red, but I'm going for yellow today. So I've got this smooth Hammerite yellow paint, and this is direct to metal, doesn't need a primer. this yellow paint has now dried, so what I'm going to be doing is putting the oil size on. I'm using this Lefranc 12-hour oil size. Now the number on oil size should be how long it takes until it's ready. 12 hours, it's not going to happen. It's cold, this pot's been open for about 3 months. I reckon I'm looking at about 24 hours, so tomorrow morning this is hopefully going to be perfect for putting the gold on. Now, being cold and an old pot, if anything it'll go longer. So the reason I'm doing it in the morning is so that tomorrow morning I've got the whole of the day, that if it's not ready, if it's too tacky, I can wait, and then at some point in the day it'll be perfect for putting the leaf on. Right, so make sure it's nicely mixed up. Always decant some off. You're thinking this is a ridiculously small brush. Yes, it's a small brush for such a big area. If I use a bigger brush, I'm going to end up putting too much oil size on. I need to keep this thin, not too thin, not too thick. If it's too thick, it'll run and it'll take absolutely forever to go off. So experience tells me just the right thickness, and I need a nice small brush so that I don't overdo the oil. Right, I'm going to start at the top, work my way down, try and be as methodical as I can be, because I really don't want to miss a little bit. Missing a little bit on something flat means that when you come and do a patch, once it's gilded on that bit that you've missed, it's really obvious. You're not actually going to be able to see this, and that's part of the problem when you're putting this on, is why you miss bits, because you can't see where you've been. So as you can see, it's all covered up. That's to stop any dust landing on it. Now I'm going to take all this down and I'm going to give it the squeak test. Now that is, if you run your knuckle along the oil, it should squeak, then you know it's ready. Now what I'm going to be using is 23.5 carat gold leaf transfer. Now transfer just means that it's on tiny little sheets of tissue paper, and it means I can handle the gold in a big sheet without gold going absolutely everywhere. Absolutely perfect for this type of job. So let's take all this down, let's get gilding. Squeakable. Right. Right, so all the gold's on. I'm really pleased with how it's gone on. I've managed to cover everything, there's no gaps, so that's great. But it's really fluffy, there's lots of bits of gold, loose gold all over it. So what I'm going to do is just get a really soft brush and very gently get all this loose gold off. Right, so we're nearly there. All the furry bits are now gone. I think it's looking fairly good. The last thing to do is just to deal with the arrow shaft. No, doggy, we're not playing. You go sit on your bed. I'm going to be painting it black because I think that'll look quite smart. Find a toy then, doggy. Really smart. Pleased with that. It's going to need another coat because there are bits I can't get to because it's wedged on this. But that needs to dry for around about a week really before you properly touch that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that's going to look really good back on the church. Once the sun hits that, it's going to look stunning. I'm really chuffed.